Welcome, everybody, to the Detroit City Fieldhouse in Detroit, Michigan on this Saturday, March 21st. I am David DeWahey, proud, happy, and excited to introduce my neighbor, my friend, my former colleague, a man with many gifts, many talents, who wears many hats in his life, husband, father, friend, Chris Hemler. Chris is filling in today for the beloved Ian Gilmore, who's with the Detroit City FC men's team in Indy. Chris, welcome to the broadcast. We're so excited to have you here for what promises to be an amazing semifinal number one in the MASLW playoff weekend between Detroit City FC and Iowa Demon Hawks.
Well, thank you for that very kind introduction, David. Do you mind if I call you David?
I know sometimes around these parts
you're Dave.
I like David.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I think you might have oversold me a little bit. But, you know, we'll let the viewers be the judge.
You're going to deliver.
What would you say to folks who've been tuning in for yesterday as well of you know, how to temper their expectations without Ian here?
Yeah.
And without getting them to shut the feed off?
Yeah, no, I think I'd say you're in for a treat. This is going to be a battle. I think we're going to get to it at some point in the broadcast because we were talking about it recently.
Yeah.
All the layers to this matchup.
So many layers to this match.
And I look forward to you describing it to the audience as you did to me because it's fascinating and compelling. But I do want to just clear up a couple things or clarify a few details here. In maroon, we've got Detroit City FC,
Absolutely.
the number 5 seed. In yellow, number 1 seed, and deservedly so, the Iowa Demon Hawks. We'll get to some of the nuance around that and their roster once the game gets underway.
Yeah.
But suffice it to say, both of these teams booked their ticket with big wins in quarterfinal matches yesterday. Iowa Demon Hawks kicked off the day's 4-match sequence of matches in a win, a pretty confident and, in the end, convincing win over Lone Star. And then the bookending match of the day was Detroit City FC knocking off a very, very strong Louisville Triumph
Such
FC.
a great match, too.
Such a great match. So you've got two teams coming off very different games here. Iowa, a little more time to rest. Tested, but not over the course of the entire game. Whereas Detroit City FC played the last game of the evening and against a team that pushed them to the very end.
Yeah, and that second half yesterday for Iowa was really impressive to watch. They maintained complete control of the game, and you know, I think it sent a warning to the remaining teams left in the tournament.
Yeah, I think of all the games that were played yesterday, the most convincing win was that we saw from Iowa, and you know, I think they really only got into top gear toward the middle stages of the game when they were really being tested, and then kind of cruised to a comfortable finish.
Yeah, well, let's see how this one starts out.
I think a big key for Detroit City FC is going to be trying to avoid the fate of Lone Star yesterday when they were just kind of pinned into their own end for large stretches of the game.
Yeah, and Iowa likes to play a very physical game, and you know, I think you've got to match that energy early on.
Yep. The other element of the game that Iowa is very practiced at and effective with is the way they bring their goalkeeper, Rosemary Elliott, up the field. Alondra Tinajero, still getting familiar with the Iowa roster here. The way they bring her past the midfield line, for those that weren't tuning in yesterday, we talked about it a little bit in the early games. There's a component of the rules where if the goalkeeper, oh, that's a goal.
And that's a goal.
Wow. What a start from Iowa.
Yeah.
What a strike, by the way.
But I mean, it feeds
Alondra.
to what you were saying, right? I mean, you know, you can almost play the game if you're Iowa as if you're on a power play.
Yeah, they bring the goalie. As long as your goalie's past midfield, as Alondra was there, you can receive it as many times as you want. If you're in your own half, it's only one possession for the goalkeeper. But the way they brought her forward there is maybe a sign of things to come. And, you know, for Detroit City FC, they got to find a way to neutralize that effect. See how they respond here. Kira Carfanza playing her second ever arena game. She had her debut yesterday. Oh, we got a player down on the field. I think the ref might need to, well, I don't know what's happening right now. I think, yep, a possible head injury.
Yep.
I don't know. I didn't see anything happen there. I don't know if there was like a collision. If she tweaked an ankle, it looks like she might have gone down with a non-contact. But, yeah, the ref seems to be, or the trainer seems to be.
Looks like a concussion protocol.
Yeah. Let's hope she's okay.
And I know that there were some people not happy in the crowd, but you've got to take these things seriously.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. there's always a little bit of nuance to when a ref blows a whistle when there's a player down. I think sometimes, as long as the injury is not like super concerning, if a team, whether the team has the injured player or not, if they're in possession in a dangerous area, sometimes the game will play on. But I think the general rule is when a player's attending to their own head and it might be a possible head injury, you just got to stop the play and prioritize their health.
Yeah, absolutely.
Glad to see her going off under her own will here. That was number 19, Denise Valdez. Hope she's okay. She seems like she's feeling quite a bit better already.
Yeah.
It's an interesting thing. Yesterday, both Iowa and Detroit City FC came from behind. They both conceded the first goal of the game. Lone Stars was very much against the run of play. Louisville's was a little bit more part of the initial back and forth of the match, but both teams had to deal with an early deficit. Detroit City FC now in familiar territory. Yeah. Iowa playing with the lead for the first time since starting a match in this weekend's national tournament.
Yep. Some of the things that we were discussing before the broadcast about the history, the story behind this match is that Detroit City went to Iowa last year for the playoffs as the number 1 seed.
Yep.
Faced this very team, kind of this very team, which we'll get into in a minute.
Yep.
In the semis and won. And so in some ways, this seems like a revenge game for Iowa, but then there's more to it. David, would you care to?
There is more to it. Thank you for setting that up.
Yes, no problem.
And doing so well, because it is easy to forget that these teams played in the national semi last year, because in so many ways the players on Detroit City FC, those of us that are kind of in the know on the inner workings of the MASLW, realize that a lot of this Iowa roster are players that switched over from Chihuahua Savage, the team that won the national championship and kind of handily beat Detroit City FC in the final last year, a result that the Detroit team is really looking to overturn. And so it's sometimes I forget, both as commentator and somebody who's just been following this weekend's games with great interest, that we're playing Iowa here.
Yeah.
I think in many ways the group of Detroit City FC players views this as a rematch with Chihuahua Savage.
Which, as you mentioned, DCFC, was beaten there, and so I think there are probably some players on the Iowa roster who see this as a revenge match, but I think there's also players on the City roster.
They're both warranted and looking at it as a payback game for sure. That's a really cool feature of this one. We just saw a nice little breakout there from a great thoughtful pass forward to Amanda Britton. Tight call early. I think I was talking to some of the referee crew who were on matches yesterday. They're not on this particular match, but all the refs have been working together throughout the weekend. And they were talking about some of the nuance around foul selection and how in the indoor game you definitely want to let the players play, but there are also situations where, like, what we saw there, the perception was that the Iowa player kind of lost control of the ball, maybe because of the intervention from Fatima Nasser there, that you got to call some fouls. you got to set the line somewhere, because otherwise games can get out of control and teams get disadvantaged when the other team knows that they can just fly in with a tackle, and it's probably not going to get punished.
Now, with that being said, the players were allowed to kind of play through a lot of things, especially in the nightcap yesterday.
Yes.
It was a very loosely called game.
I thought so too, and I think that was maybe part of the conversation was after that match, just a little bit of let's clarify what our standards are and norms here and make sure that the players know early on where the line's going to be drawn. Right now we've seen some pretty early, an early tilt of the field in Iowa's favor.
Yeah.
Detroit's had a hard time getting out. Here we see an early ball forward to Hannah Crum, see if she can pressure. What Iowa does so well is they don't seem to get too rattled when teams press them. They're very comfortable with the ball. They just have that arena soccer savvy that not all teams have, and I think if you compare them to the Louisville, see what the goalie had to do there. She couldn't receive that ball without suffering the penalty, so she wisely let it go, and her teammate was hip to it. There's Liggett alum Anya Dow.
Yes.
In my introduction of Chris Hemler, I didn't mention that he's a current teacher, and I'll let you give your official title, but at University Liggett School, where I used to work as a math teacher and where Anya Dow graduated as a hockey and soccer playing. Oh my gosh, what an unfortunate own goal there. That was just like a freakish intervention that went over Kirsten Williams' head.
And as a a pseudo defender myself, I really feel for those. I've had quite a few of those in my indoor playing career.
Those things happen.
Yeah.
You hope it doesn't happen to you in the biggest game of the season, but it's also an opportunity for Detroit City FC to kind of shake it off and say, like, hey, that was a little bit of a disaster for us. We've had some bad luck. Let's go earn some good luck here and fight our way back into this game.
Yeah, and as we've seen, leads just because of the nature of the indoor game.
Yep.
Leads are a little bit less precious because.
I think so too. I think in the indoor game more so than anything.
Yeah.
Like basketball, Ian Gilmore and I have often said, like, the arena game is a game of runs, and it's a momentum is at a premium. And if you can grab the game back, get a goal, one sometimes begets two, and you can really quickly cut a deficit.
Well, and in her.
There it is! Katie Coleman with the left foot curler through the wall past Iowa goalkeeper Alondra Tinajero, who really had not much to do with there. I mean, she couldn't see that till it was in.
No. I mean, we kind of have even a slightly better vantage point from where we're at than she did, and I couldn't see it until it passed through too.
That was a really thoughtful free kick from Katie Coleman. I noticed that the two players in the wall were kind of like, they were low, they were in a good athletic posture, but they were almost leaning away from each other.
Yeah.
And I think sensing there might be a gap, Katie Coleman wisely split that gap with her, and she's got a great left foot. So I think it was in a good spot for her favorite left foot. Let's see how the game responds to this.
Yeah.
We've had an interesting start here, Chris.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think you could argue an early shot fired by Iowa in the form of that first goal from their goalkeeper. That was obviously a tone setter in some ways, but then a really unfortunate own goal. See what's going on here. A little conversation between referees. Sometimes we're speculating. Sometimes we know what's going on. This looks like it's going to be a restart to the goalie. Detroit City FC bench is sort of clapping in approval, so I don't know what happened, Chris. I'm going to be honest.
I don't either. I just assumed they were talking about how we seem to, every time we mention the scoring, somebody scores. So we were talking about how it's a more high-scoring game, and that because I was getting ready to say that there was a little feature that DCFC put on their socials, quite a few, over the past few weeks. But Anya Dow was talking specifically about how she played hockey, right?
Yes,
and so this is kind of like the combination between your outdoor 11v11 and ice hockey, which is a little bit more fast-paced and high-scoring. Yep.
We got Kira Carfonta.
Oh.
It's a goal! Mackenzie Ruber with the rebound. Great effort, and I got to go back a few steps. Zoe Greenhalgh with a brilliant roulette turn in midfield to separate herself from two on-rushing Iowa defenders. It ends up with Kira Carfonta, who drove forward. I heard the Detroit City FC coaches saying yesterday they really wanted to give her license to get forward with the ball. She's a absolute killer defender. One-on-one situations, she's a beast.
Yeah.
However, I think they recognize in her an ability to get forward with the ball and be a threat offensively as well. We saw that there, a shot that really tested the Iowa goalkeeper. Kenzie Ruber in a great spot to put away the rebound. It's game on, Chris.
It is.
2-2. I got a great note here from our chief producer, Alex Wright. The little stoppage of play earlier was a bench warning to Iowa.
Okay.
Something must have been said, maybe some form of dissent from their coaches or whatever it was, and it was just like there was no direct consequence, but it was like a warning of sorts.
I'm interested to see how City responds to playing up on the keeper.
Yeah, I see they've changed their tactic a bit. Megan Varant putting, that's a goal. That's a goal from Iowa. Far post, nice finish.
And that is a tough angle to hit as well.
Yeah. This has been a great back and forth game.
It really has.
We've had a great comeback. We had a great early lead from Iowa. Maybe a bit fortunate in their second goal, you could argue. But a great comeback from Detroit City FC, and now another go-ahead move from Iowa. Goal scorer number 31, Brissa Valadez. Nice finish from her. Tight space in the front of the field that she found the back post. Here's Megan Varant running it down. Chris, you and I were talking before the match about the fact that clearly Iowa have some new faces this year.
Yeah.
But Detroit City FC as well. I think they're in many ways a different team. Their seasoned players are a year more seasoned and experienced, and obviously they have the fuel of last year's regrettable result in the national final. But they've added some pieces, some pretty significant pieces. Approaching the ball right here is Megan Varant, who's been right up there at the top in terms of goals and assists. She's a dynamic attacking midfield forward type player. Erin Torrance, who announced herself to the world yesterday with a 5-goal, 1-assist
it was
game.
a first quarter hat trick, right?
Incredible performance from her yesterday. She was a deserving first. Ooh, is Anya in here?
That's a nice ball.
Erin Torrance, a deserving first team all MASLW selection, and she showed why yesterday. Defensively, they've added Mary Grimes, who just intercepted that ball there and is fighting for it now. And then Becca Prisbelow in goal, and I feel like there might be one more that I'm forgetting. But and then Kira Carfanta, who we spoke of earlier, just finished her collegiate career at Dayton, is an amazing defensive player and enjoying her first stint as a pro indoor player.
Yeah, and I think, too, if we look at the preparation of the season as well, I think the addition of FC Berlin to the division, I think, also helped City quite a bit.
That's a huge factor. I think that between playing FC Berlin in 2 very close matches, which they split, and then sort of the same thing with Louisville.
Absolutely.
They were battle-tested in a way that maybe they weren't coming into last year's playoffs, where I think, you play the team that's in front of you, but I think Detroit City FC had a hard time finding a game last year. Most of their games were pretty double-digit score differentials where they never really had to get out of first gear. This year, they've had 2 losses, a couple close wins, and when you're on each side of those close games, it's great preparation. It kind of.
What a block!
Oh, look at Hannah Crum. Look at Hannah Crum. Is she going to go for the chip?
She's got to. Yeah.
Oh, what a block from the goal! That was a great run from Hannah Crum, who I was talking to before the match, and I think she is. She's a player that could really make a big impact in this one. She's got so much savvy. Like, look how she's pressuring the ball there. She just gets stuff done, and oftentimes in unconventional ways. But she is a leader, a spiritual leader of this team. She's kind of the glue in the locker room. He's going to give a blue card because Katie Coleman used their player to kind of break her fall there. I don't think there was any malice in that from our vantage point, but I also understand why the call was made. Kind of wrestled her down, but in fairness to Katie Coleman, I think so much of it was just trying to stay on her feet and using that player to keep her balanced.
Yeah, I mean, there wasn't many places for her to go other than the boards or that other player.
Yep. But that means a blue card means a 2-minute penalty for Katie Coleman and the Detroit City FC team, and they're going to have to play shorthanded here. Crowd expressing their displeasure. But they'd probably feel that way regardless.
That's true. And also,
they're a home crowd.
But also, I don't know that they maybe saw it as well as we did from our vantage point, too. So
for sure. They probably just thought it was like a run-of-the-mill foul.
Yeah.
Both teams having an opportunity to huddle. Kind of an interesting little, I don't know if this is our media timeout, but ultimately both teams having a chance to charge up the batteries, especially if you're Detroit City FC and you know that those 4 players plus Kirsten Williams are going to have a lot of back and forth shuttle runs to do here, trying to keep Iowa at bay. And really when you're talking about Iowa on a power play, you're really talking about a 6. I guess I should say it's like a 6 on. Why am I struggling with that? A 2-player advantage. Thank you. Yeah, it's 6 on 4. I was thrown because it's 6 on 5.
Yeah.
But it's really like 6 on 4 on the field because they send their goalie forward, and a 2-player advantage is significant.
Well, and I was going to ask you that. So, do you still take that risk, or because you're playing a player up, does the keeper play a little bit more conservatively?
It's a great question. We saw yesterday, it's actually a really interesting moment in the Detroit City-Louisville match. Detroit City FC got that pivotal power play at the end, which they ended up scoring off of. But just moments before they scored, Becca Prisbelow had advanced up the field. One of the really impressive, and her name is escaping me right now, but one of the really impressive Louisville midfielders picked the ball up and did successfully knock it overhead. It just missed wide.
Yeah.
I think it would have, if she had aimed it differently, it would have been a goal. And what a goal that would have been.
Absolutely.
But it did kind of point out, when you send your goalie forward on a power play, you're always taking a risk. But I think in a power play situation, you're assuming that you're going to have control, and then when you don't, all of a sudden you're like, oh crap, we got to get back.
And it does look like she's hanging back a little bit.
Yeah, I think they're wise. I think they're so strong on the power play anyway. There's no need to risk it. She will stay a little bit off her line. She is approaching midfield right now. Something to keep in mind or keep an eye on.
Yep.
See how this plays out.
But I think if you're chasing the game, you bring her up. But
yes,
with a lead here,
what a block!
That's amazing.
What a block from Kristen Williams there.
And what is called a no-nonsense clearance there.
Yes, get it out.
Yep.
Now, every clearance that hits those high, and I don't know if that one hit the ceiling first.
It did, yeah.
So if it hits the ceiling first, it's a free kick from the line. If it had hit the side netting first, it would have been that second spot, which I'm not good with estimating distances, but I'd say it's maybe like 15 yards out, 10, 15 yards out.
I can confidently say it's closer.
The second dot? The one that's like, there's 2 dots.
Yeah.
The one that's further from the goal. How far would you say that is from goal?
Yeah, about 15, I think.
15 yards. So that's the free kick you get when it hits the side netting.
Okay.
In the offensive zone. Or I guess the defensive zone for the team that's clearing.
And those rules, unlike hockey, don't change if you're on a penalty kill.
Right. Yeah, the idea that icing goes away.
Yeah.
Now, I learned from the referees, Kirsten Williams, in getting that ball from the ref there, she could theoretically throw it 3 lines. That's very hard to do here at the Detroit City Fieldhouse when the field is like the Olympic rink length.
Another block.
Great block from Claire Ciurlino there. Iowa doing what they do best, keeping possession in the offensive fourth, circulating the ball. Oh, a little bit of a misplay there. I might have given the commentators jinx. But they've retained possession, and they're going to maybe there's a little bit of extracurricular activity in the box, and the refs seem pretty confident there in making the call.
I've noticed that that on this power play, the Iowa's running a lot through Gallegos, who's playing kind of in your left back position.
Yes.
And she was in the regular season involved in the second most goal involvements on the team, and so you can really see that they value her as a creator.
Yep. A string puller.
Absolutely.
Yeah, she's been very comfortable when she's getting the ball. You see that great move there.
And there she is again.
Good
with
save
a shot.
from Kristen Williams. Good save. You see here, Detroit is really pinned in. Like, they're really not even sending anyone. Aaron Torrance electing instead to just sit in. It looks like the one-player advantage is now done, although, interestingly, now Iowa do keep their goalkeeper in an advanced position. This has been quite a chess match, Chris.
Yeah.
You got Iowa kind of executing their game plan of choice here. Detroit City FC adjusting. I think they're hoping.
Now, that was interesting there because you saw both forward players closed in on the keeper, leaving both defenders open as an outlet, and she still kind of went towards the goal.
Yep. Great ball there.
It's an excellent ball.
It's interesting. I think what Iowa has like this secondary benefit. They pin you in, and then sometimes the ball escapes, like what we saw there with Kira Carfanta pressuring. But then if they get there first, it's almost like they've teased you out.
Yes.
And they've created a little bit of space in behind, and they exploit it. That was a really good forward pass that they played. It didn't lead to anything, unfortunately, for Iowa, but I do think that that's like a nice probably secondary goal for them is like if we do give up a little bit of a fast break, we're going to win it back right away and then punish the team for all. That's just a great effort and tackle from Karina Medina, who I thought in many ways was a defensive unsung hero yesterday. She had a fantastic game against Louisville. Oh, that's a nice.
What a turn.
Oh, it's a bit. It's a harsh call. I think I understand the call from the referee there. I think Anya Dow felt like she won the spot. But hey, the ref has established where the line is. The expectation's been set on what a foul is going to be. Also appreciate the ref hustling to get that ball because he knows any call a referee makes is going to interrupt the game, and indoor players especially want as much flow to the game as possible. Well done by the referee there to hurry it up and get it back in play.
And when we talk about officiating, I think as a player, all you're really looking for is consistency. And so if those boundaries are set and they're consistently enforced, then there's not an issue. Can't say the same for the supporters in the stands, but
yeah, they're going to be frustrated in the moment. And I think for Detroit City FC, this is this is going to be a frustrating game in some ways. There's going to be moments where they have to suffer, defensively in particular, and we're seeing it now, right? They're kind of pinned in. They're fighting, and they're doing everything they can to keep Iowa at bay. But, if you react well to those moments of setback, if you don't let a referee's decision throw you off your focus, then, it can benefit you in the end. It can actually be a huge advantage.
Now, how much harder is that, managing your reaction in a game where your emotions are already running high?
Oh, that's the ultimate challenge, right? Like, you're already a little bit on edge. Great deflection save from Kirsten Williams there, and Ali Tiefen's going to clear the danger. I don't know how much longer Detroit City FC can play this game. I do feel like they are doing a good job, however, being patient and not. Oh, we had a little lash out there. And that's going against Anya Dow.
We talked a little bit about emotions there, and I think that's probably an emotional reaction. I think she felt hard done by that. That I think there was some contact that she took exception to. And,
and
then it's tough to not react
the reaction.
In those situations.
The reaction is what gets seen by the referee who's right there. So the Detroit City FC women have their work cut out for them. They got to defend another power play here, and it's a power play that will actually take us from first quarter to second, unless Iowa scores, in which case the numerical advantage would be relinquished.
And there it is. I mean, they ran that offense through Gallegos again.
Yep. That's a good finish.
Who gets yet another assist to add to her illustrious season that she's had so far.
Yeah, she's a baller. Detroit City FC back to the 2-goal deficit. They're going to have to find a way back in. They've done it before, which hopefully gives them some confidence. The game, I don't know that I mentioned this earlier. I just told you before the broadcast that I was planning on bringing it up. I had kind of this moment of realization watching Iowa play in their first game yesterday, the first game of the day. They had like that, if I were going to compare them to an animal, I'd say they were like a boa constrictor. They really squeezed the life out of Lone Star. They just maintained possession in their end, and eventually Lone Star succumbed to the pressure. And you see their ability to do it here, even against an incredible team as Detroit City FC. It's still, their approach is so effective. They've had a lot of the ball. Good save from the goalkeeper there. Almost had a little repeat of a Katie Coleman free kick goal. But they're unrelenting in their pressure, and they're really good keeping it. And, they are effective. And I think it's starting to really take its toll a little bit. Detroit City FC, their response has been to be a little bit extra physical, play a little extra hard. It's getting punished by the referees, and then it's doubly frustrating for them. But I have no doubt they'll work themselves into a groove here. They'll figure this out.
Yeah, I mean, I think Iowa has mastered the ability to be physical without it seeming obvious.
Yeah, yep, that's well said. And that's particularly frustrating when you're playing against it, right? You feel like they're fouling as much as you. They're just not getting in trouble for it. And then your reactions are the things getting seen. So definitely sympathize there with the Detroit City FC players, but also, admire the ability of the Iowa team to toe that line. And clearly they're very experienced in the arena game. See the way they're manipulating the ball here. Look how far up their goalie is. It's incredible. They just take that calculated risk. And Detroit City FC need to find a way to punish them for that. I think if they do get out on the break and they end up with a tap-in goal or a long-range shot that goes into an empty net, I think you're going to see a change in how Iowa approaches things. But until you punish them, they're going to keep going back to that well. Good save from Kirsten Williams. That's a first-team all-league save there.
She was able to get enough on it. Even though it got by a little bit, she was able to get enough on it and recollect it. Just revisiting that last DCFC free kick, I think one of the changes that I noticed is that Iowa put 3 in the wall. Do you see that instead of the 2?
Yes, they've adapted.
Yeah.
They realized where the danger is going to be.
And I think too, you talked about a chess match in the beginning of the broadcast, and I think we're very much seeing that.
Yep, absolutely. I think Iowa having the better of it right now with a 4-2 lead, but definitely there for the taking for Detroit City FC. They've shown the ability to come back. They're going to regroup here, and the exchange between first and second period gives them the optimal opportunity to do so. Those of you tuning in from home and in the City Clubhouse, we'll take a short break here between quarters. We'll be back in a couple minutes to take you through the second period of play. Right now it's Iowa 4, Detroit City FC 2. It's been a great game so far. Looking forward to seeing what happens next.
It's even better because I'm experiencing it with you.
Yes, likewise, Chris. And we are back here at the Detroit City Fieldhouse. I'm David DeWay. This is Chris Hemler.
Hello.
The first quarter ends with a 4-2 lead for the Iowa Demon Hawks. Detroit City FC had to come back and did come back very effectively to make it a 2-2 game, but Iowa have since extended that lead. 1 goal by way of open play, 1 goal by way of power play right at the end of the quarter there. We've got a great match on our hands, and we referred to it earlier as a chess match, and I think it's going to continue to be so. Coach Danny Evans and her staff taking advantage of this opportunity between periods to make some adjustments. I'll be curious what they do.
Yeah, I mean, I think there are a few key points that I think she's probably making, which is just settle the nerves a little bit.
Yep.
I think because of the history of this matchup, I think tensions are running extremely high, and I think you just got to manage that a little bit. And it's so much easier for us to say from up here than.
But
being
it's
down on the
definitely
pitch.
a key thing to if you can flip that category, that's going to be massive.
Now we will likely see Becca come in goal, right? This period.
Detroit City FC have pretty consistently gone that route, and we see Becca Prisbilo making her way toward the Detroit City FC goal. Interesting shift here with the play going opposite directions. Now both teams are making offensive substitutions, probably, or I should say the bench is in the offensive half, which definitely affects how and when they can sub. I also learned from Danny Evans yesterday the 3-foot rule is being closely enforced by the referees, which means that if you're a substitute coming onto the pitch, the person you're subbing for, what a ball from Katie Coleman, by the way, has to be within like 3 feet of the door before you can go on. And so it's kind of slowed the substitutions a bit. They're not as fluid, and teams are making fewer substitutions at a time because of it. Great effort there from Kayla Addison.
Yeah, she almost pulled it out. Looks like a little bit of a collision between Iowa players down there.
Yep. I think we're starting to see kind of a trend here where, and I certainly recognize an injury when it's happened, but see like the frustration from Detroit is that the game's getting slowed and the rhythm's being broken. Looks like the player is okay after all, so we're going to play on. But watch for that to be a little bit of a thing that refs are going to have to manage in this game.
Yeah.
Obviously, injuries are injuries, and they have to be taken seriously. But if there's attempts to stop play or slow things down, sometimes the refs can help.
I'll be interested to see here because in outdoor, if the refs motion for a trainer, even if they don't come out, you have to sub.
Yeah,
it does look like they're going to enforce that here as well. Maybe not.
And just based on the posture that the Detroit City FC, or I should say the position that the Detroit City FC players are taking right now, I think one of the adjustments that Coach Danny Evans has made is I think they're going to try and play a little bit more on the front foot, be a little bit more aggressive in the press, maybe have a go at the goalie once in a while and see if they can pick it off her and just make the Iowa team play with a little bit more fear and like recognizing like, and they're clearly in a woman-to-woman set here as well. Defensively, they're gonna really see if they can force Iowa to beat them with the ball. Great track back from Hannah Crum there, and a tackle that the crowd cheers. Man, this game's getting intense.
Yep.
Hannah Crum in on goal.
Like another interception from Crum, and again, there's some of that Iowa physicality that doesn't quite appear as physical as it probably felt on the field.
Right. And I think we're seeing a little bit of fight here from the Detroit City women. I'm sure that was also part of Danny Evans' message. Obviously, can't commit fouls, we can't lash out, but we got to battle here. It's what they did so effectively against Louisville yesterday. They really put it all on the line. They fought, and I think in a game like this, that's the way back in. Just got to outwork your opponent.
Take a look at the effort that Hannah Crum and Kayla Addison just put in.
Yeah.
And I think that's infectious, right? You see your teammates going all out like that, and I think that's actually something so just full disclosure, Kayla Addison is my daughter's travel soccer coach.
Yes, fun fact.
And it's something that she has mentioned before. I've heard her say as well. Speaking of which, to Phoebe and Elliot at home, break a leg. They have a performance with Grosse Pointe Theater tonight.
That's awesome. Yep, for those who are in the audience, Chris Hemler is a father of 2 wonderful children, also my neighbors, and they're performing in The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
Elliot, Phoebe, if you're listening to this after the fact, hope it went well. Proud of you guys. While we're on the topic of shutouts, there's a bit of a stoppage to play, I wanted to give a brief shout out to my mom and dad. And Sophie, who takes such good care of them. I believe they're tuning in from home, assuming they were able to get YouTube to work. Mom, Dad, Sophie, hello.
Wonderful people.
I love you guys. Hope you're having fun watching this match. It's been an exciting one so far. thanks for raising me.
So there's some of that fight, too, that we see down in the corner. It looks like City are up for the challenge a little bit more in terms of the physicality. And again, there it is again.
And I think that's a foul. You know, Detroit City FC shouldn't be frustrated with that. That's
Correct.
Ali Tiefin getting into the back of the player, being really, really tough and physical and holding her ground. And obviously, like, sometimes that's going to get called, but I think those are the kinds of fouls that Detroit City FC can afford to give. It's like you're playing hard, you're going to win the ball, you're honest in your play, and refs aren't going to punish that with a blue card. That's just a foul. And I also think it's a foul that sends a message, like, when the ball's coming into you, I'm going to be right there. I'm stepping into it, and you're going to have to deal with that.
Well, and also in that position, right, it gives City a chance to get back to regroup, and I think that might be something that the Iowa bench is currently complaining about.
I also wonder, Chris, I see the ref has the blue card out. We might be getting a blue card, and I'm guessing it might be for a substitution violation. He's counting players right now. Yep, they're going to send number 15 into the box. I think there was an that was the one thing that Danny Evans mentioned yesterday. I talked to her after the game. I was like, boy, you guys didn't sub as much as I would have thought, with the frequency that I would have thought. She said, well, they've got this 3-foot rule now, and they're watching it like a hawk. And if you violate it, it's a blue card. And I think that might be what just happened. Was it a substitution? Yeah, I think it was a substitution violation from Iowa. So that means Detroit City FC goes on the power play here. Really interesting how closely that's being monitored, whereas during the regular season it wasn't a thing. And I think so often when you get into the playoffs and you get referee crews that are particularly experienced and have been reffing at a high level, you start to see an enforcing of certain rules that maybe weren't enforced earlier, and it's an adjustment that needs to be made. Iowa doing a really good job keeping the ball here
great job.
While shorthanded. Although you do run the risk of Aaron Torrance breaking loose.
I think they might be trying to determine
who that went off of.
Touched.
Yeah.
Looks like Iowa will get the ball.
Yep. They'll get it in a favorable area. They've been able to kill off a lot of this power play with possession. And I wonder if they'll have the confidence in themselves to keep playing it in the Detroit City end.
Wall doing its job there.
The one thing I'll say for Iowa, they sure track back effectively. You saw Megan Varan in there, and they really hustle back. They're a tough team. They're a number 1 seed for a reason. They're a quality team. They're extremely effective pressuring the ball, and they work in unison.
We talked a bit in the first quarter, too, about how City had the benefit of having a bit of a more tricky schedule this year.
Yeah.
I was very interested to see how Iowa came out yesterday, just because I don't know that they necessarily had the same strength of schedule that DCFC did, but you know they have really proven that they're up for the challenge.
Yeah, the opponent is sort of irrelevant with how they play the game, and I mean obviously the stronger opponent's going to be able to test them more and defend them a little bit more effectively, but they have a great system, they stick with it, they execute it extremely well. I've been really impressed with the way they've kind of taken this game by the reins. But Detroit City FC have a great opportunity here. What a save from the goalkeeper. Nice strike from Aaron Torrance.
That was an excellent strike.
Detroit City FC have a great opportunity here with this power play to try and cut it to 1 and just put a little bit of pressure, a little bit of doubt into Iowa. They haven't had many very close games this year. And I think if you can cut it to 1, changes the tenor of this match. Good patience here from City, circulating the ball, just like Iowa likes to do. I like the way Akira Carfanto plays.
Well, and I think they're waiting for a higher percentage chance.
Yep. Yeah, really working it for that. Although they might be in here against the run of play a bit on the shorthanded situation.
And
well done by backup Pris below.
Once again, that's
very well done.
Just like their power play, they're running the penalty kill through Gallegos as well.
Yeah, she's a danger.
Yeah. And you see how many City players it took to get the ball off of her, and then Iowa wins it right back at midfield.
Yeah, the one thing I've really started to appreciate about Iowa is just like their composure with the ball. They don't really panic.
It's a great defensive stop.
Well done by Zoe. Oh, that's cynical. That's cynical. That might be a blue card, Chris, because she's in there.
Yeah.
I'll be curious. Looks like the ref's going to just call it a foul, but I think if you're in an 11-on-11 game and somebody's at midfield and they're breaking and they get tripped from behind like that, it might be because I think there was a little bit of a tactical element to that. Just from my vantage point, of course, the ref doesn't necessarily see it the same way.
I wonder if your city as well. We talked a little bit earlier about the necessity for consistency in officiating. If you feel like maybe a similar foul was maybe called against you.
Yeah.
Earlier in the match.
For sure. But we got to recognize it's all happening fast out there. We're seeing it a little differently than anyone else. And the fact remains we are now Iowa at full strength, exerting a numerical advantage by bringing their goalkeeper, number 33, Alondra Tinajero. I'm used to Ian Gilmore doing all the names.
Yeah, sorry.
No, you're great. Can I just say?
I'm walking off. I'm leaving.
Chris is crushing it. Ian Gilmore in Indy. He might be tuning in. Ian, if you're listening,
we miss you.
We miss you, but we're also excited for you to cheer on the DCFC men tonight as they take on. And what's cool for Ian is he's watching his current employer play his former.
That's right.
He's come to us, and it's our gain and Indy's loss. He's come to us from the Indy 11 organization and serves as videographer, MASLW commentator, and so many more things.
I mentioned that Kayla Addison was my daughter Phoebe's coach, and Devin Amumensa was my son Elliot's travel coach too. And
yes,
I think that's one of the wonderful things about. You mind if I give a quick ad for our youth program?
Oh, of course.
I
don't mind. No.
I think that's one of the wonderful things about. What a save, by the way. There is a game happening.
Great. There is a game. We'll do both. We can do both.
And again,
wow, no foul there.
Yeah. I think Kayla felt hard done by there.
Yeah, I get it. I think anytime you end up on the ground and you feel like you were pushed or pulled a little bit, you're tired, you're frustrated, and great clearance there from Claire Ciarlino. You see the way Iowa just swarm. They're so effective.
Yeah.
Not giving Detroit City FC a second to breathe, although DCFC here we finally making a bit of a break there. Kayla Addison using her physicality well.
She's got that dynamism in her that I think if you're Iowa, you have to be careful with how many times you're going to let Kayla Addison get the ball in that position, because she will make you pay for it.
Absolutely. But Chris, you were saying about Detroit City FC's youth program.
Yeah. So my kids who came in through the youth program get to watch their coaches play in a professional setting and cheer them on, and I think I think that adds so much to what's already
off the post.
It looked like it. If it wasn't the post, it was close.
It was a really, really well taken dribble there from the Iowa player.
But I think playing travel soccer in and of itself is already kind of a magical experience.
Yeah.
And you kind of add a whole other element.
Oh, yeah. To see your coach and role model playing at the highest level. Ooh, I'll be curious how they call that. Yep, I think against Amanda Britton, who slid. Ball's live here. Detroit City FC have to pay attention.
It was just a matter of her being a tad late.
Yep.
There was no malice in it.
Nope.
But she was late.
Yep. Ooh, that almost snuck by. Becca Prisbillo just didn't want it to hit her at that point. And you see again, I think what Iowa's so effective at is just really putting the other team under so much pressure that they don't have the energy or the ability to get out. They envelop you.
Yeah.
They're very adept at that. And Detroit City FC need to stay disciplined defensively as they're doing.
What a reaction.
Great reaction save from Becca Prisbillo. Whoa. I think we might have a yellow card for Hannah Crum. I don't really know the difference at this point between a yellow and a blue. It might be, I think Hannah Crum was having words with that player. But I think a blue card can happen for dissent. We'll find out.
Well, I think my me being a little bit naive, I thought she was checking on her to make sure she was okay. And
she might have been.
You're right.
Hannah's
you're right.
a thoughtful, kind person.
She is. But the official
maybe saw it differently.
Did not see or hear it differently.
It's also possible she was letting her know that she thought she went down a little easy on that one and that it wasn't a foul. And I think that's one thing that players often do get into it over. It's like they call it like, in the global game, it's like the whole diving thing. And when players feel like the other team is simulating and trying to get them in trouble, they take exception to it. I think that might have been what was going on there. Hey, that's what happens when you have two good teams going at it and players fighting for every little advantage and edge they can find. Hannah Crum is one of the best at drawing fouls and drawing contact, and so I think game recognizing game a little bit there, but she's on the frustrating end of it, that one.
Now, if you're Iowa, is there a part of you that likes this type of game more than what they've experienced this season?
I would think so. I mean, I think they're probably, like if you're a really good team, if you're a number one seed, you're on top and everybody's trying to knock you off that perch. And I think there's something really empowering about that. And when you find a team that you don't know the result right away, like you don't necessarily feel as confident, as comfortable as usual, that's like, as an athlete, I think you like being in that position because it makes you feel alive. Like it's, hey, this might not go our way today. We got to raise our level still. And I think what we're seeing from Iowa here is a completely different version of them than we saw yesterday. When they played Lone Star, it was a wide open game. They had a ton of the ball. They were extremely clinical in their finishing. And I think more or less by this point in the game, it was clear that it was going to be their day.
Yeah.
And today, although they have a nice 2-goal lead, I think Detroit City FC are fighting with a little bit more effectiveness and resolve maybe than Lone Star was able to do yesterday. And, hey, it could certainly get away from them. But right now, they're showing no signs of going away lightly. And I think if you're Iowa, it's forcing a different dimension out of you. And they're probably enjoying it. There's probably some novelty to that.
Now, their ability to adapt to different situations, do you think that is player savvy? Do you think that's coaching, maybe a combination of both?
I think it's a combination of the two. They clearly have a lot of pro-level arena league players. And look at that ball speaking of a nice arena league touch there. Oh, that was a great effort from Aaron Torrance, catching the goalie a little bit off her line and a little bit out of position. I think that's what Detroit City FC need to do, and I think you see how key the goalkeeper is there with Becca Prisbilo being able to play that ball driven over the top. Aaron Torrance was able to run onto it with a little bit of space and a little bit of time to breathe. That was well done by Fatima Nasser there.
Just got caught on her feet a little bit in the corner there.
Ends up committing a foul. So I think what I'm realizing here with the 5-on-5 is that Hannah Crum's offense, whatever it was, a yellow card being different from a blue card, I think it was sort of an individual penalty.
Correct.
And she's now on a yellow, as you might be in an outdoor game.
Right.
But there's no numerical disadvantage suffered. It wasn't like, and here comes Megan Varant. Here comes Aaron Torrance. She's going to beat well done by the goalkeeper. That was, Megan Varant puts it into the open net. Finally, Detroit City FC able to punish Iowa for the advanced goalkeeper. Great finish, great bit of work from Megan Varant and Aaron Torrance both. I think you got to go back in time to when Detroit City FC were Fatima Nasser facing her own. Sorry, I got to slow down, Chris.
It's okay.
Fatima Nasser facing her own goal under a lot of pressure. Ended up conceding the foul, but Detroit City FC extremely disciplined in that moment. Got everybody behind the ball, kind of lulled Iowa forward to the point where the ball getting out meant that Megan Varant and Aaron Torrance were finally going to have a little bit of joy. Interesting, we were kind of talking, I think that's not getting called either. I think we're seeing them letting it go again. Yep, and Fatima Nasser saying you can't call that a foul if you weren't going to call the other one, which, hey, it's what we talked about earlier. The refs are being consistent. The game is getting a little helter-skelter right now. Ref says no foul, but this one does. Interesting. You had the one with a different vantage point calling the foul. Some clear frustration from the Detroit City FC players, but hey, it's a tough job.
Yeah.
In a game like this, I do not envy the referees. These moments, these collisions, these tackles, they're like consistently at a very high intensity and velocity, and it's like, it's hard to sort things out in the moment.
And you saw, I mean, he called it right away. He was very confident.
He was confident. What he saw, he felt like it kept the player from moving forward. The other ref who was behind it didn't see it that way. But, hey, that's why you got multiple refs with multiple views. Good block there from Katie Coleman.
Yep.
Oh, that's well done by Fatima Nasser. Aaron Torrance is going to pressure it. Aaron Torrance is a pressure monster.
I was
well
wondering,
done by
too,
Iowa.
how Iowa would respond to getting caught out of goal.
Yep.
And it does seem like they're still pretty committed to bringing her up.
I don't think they're going to ever totally abandon their game plan unless it gets to a point where Detroit City FC is takes a lead and they're regularly doing it.
Yeah.
But I think right now what we're seeing is they're maybe splitting the difference for a minute. Here comes Aaron Torrance.
Another great ball, too. And I think that might have been what City was missing a bit of in the first quarter, too, is just that outlet.
Yep.
That diagonal ball.
Yeah, they weren't really, Iowa didn't really have to respect their ability to counter because they just weren't getting out. What a brilliant pass from Kira Carfanta. Unlucky from Fatima Nasser trying to find her open. See, this is the Detroit City FC that you kind of want to see, where now they're the ones interrupting play.
Yep.
They're the ones breaking things up for Iowa, starting to create a little bit more balance in the match. I think up until now we've seen Iowa with quite a bit more of the ball. Great recovering run from Fatima Nasser. Oh, that's a nice pass. Man, Iowa will hit you on the counter as well. They can really do it all. They've got a lot of quality in this team.
Well, and just watching how she was coming down, how Overstreet was coming down with the ball, her eyes were on goal. I thought for sure she was going to take a shot, and then at the last minute she laid it off.
Disguised pass, yeah.
It was a wonderful disguise.
What a block from Karina Medina. That's putting your body on the line,
yes, it is.
which she did so many times yesterday against Louisville. Iowa once again establishing this sort of half-court set. Great save, and look what's going to happen here. Oh, wow, the goalie is really committed. She is not leaving the fourth.
Yeah. And I think if you're going to commit, you have to play exactly how she did.
Yes.
Which is give no room whatsoever.
Right, and I think you got to recognize in that situation, as amazing and dynamic as Aaron Torrance is. Look at this. We got a little possible opening with the change. But
it didn't quite make it through.
Didn't quite make it.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I think with a situation like that, you also have to remember, it's a long way for the other team to run.
Yeah.
And so, even if Aaron Torrance gets in the wide open area there, she's still got a long way to go. You have time to recover. So it's worth the risk, because if you win it back, you just totally maintain your advantage.
And, trying to go from goal, it's so much easier said than done to try to hit it from that distance,
too. Absolutely. Kayla Addison finally feeling like she drew a foul that got called. That was a really nice little bit of individual effort from her to keep it in the corner and win a foul in a dangerous area. Ali Tiefin on her favorite left foot is going to maybe check to this one. Let's see if she gets it. Oh, they go central to Claire Ciarlino. Good effort there. Good ball from Kayla Addison.
See, they have people to throw the ball when we're playing on this field.
That's
tomorrow
right.
morning.
Yep.
A ball goes through there. We're
chasing
3
it.
minutes.
Yeah, we need to find someone to go run and get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for those of you who might have been curious as to what Chris was referencing, on Sunday mornings on this very field, we have the privilege of playing in a little pickup soccer game that we organize. And shout out to all the people that we play with. We'll see you guys tomorrow morning bright and early. And speaking of tomorrow on this field, the winner of this game will play the winner of it's a foul going the other way. We'll play the winner of Cincinnati and RPFC, which is the 7 o'clock semifinal tonight. The winners will play at 2 p.m. tomorrow right here at the Detroit City Fieldhouse for the coveted MASLW National Championship. Still a lot of soccer to be played before that team is crowned champion. Whoever it ends up being will no doubt have earned it by running the gauntlet with a quarterfinal match yesterday. Semifinal match is happening today and the final tomorrow.
Now, if you had to say which of the matches tomorrow would have the higher quality, the final or Old Man Sunday pickup?
I'd say definitely the final, but what I would give credit to the Old Man Soccer pickup for is an undeniable love for the game.
Absolutely.
And will to keep playing. We've got that going for us, Chris. Ooh, and that's another possible head injury.
Yeah.
That one went off the back of the head of the Iowa player. Immediate attention from the trainer here, who's running out. Once again, we hope she's okay. These are these are hard shots from close distance.
Yep.
Especially in this case, she got kind of hit in the back of the head. That's a little scarier somehow. I feel like when it's in the face, at least somehow it's less proximal to the skull, and so we really hope that she's okay here.
Now, if we estimated that dot was 15 yards out, obviously you're not getting 10 yards.
Right, from the wall.
From the wall. So, if you're thinking, how is this any different than an outdoor 11v11 game? That's just closer.
Yeah,
you're just closer.
I think it's more like a 5-yard wall that they're setting. So, yeah, it's basically like getting punched in the head. And happy to report, for those of you tuning in from home, the player is sort of sitting up, which is a good sign, and we're hoping that she's getting pulled up here. Yep, hopefully she'll be able to walk off on her own and she'll be feeling okay soon.
And I think, too, from Iowa's perspective, again, you put a third player in that wall, and it's effective, right?
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
Again, you've tweaked your approach to defending free kicks.
Yep.
And it'll be interesting to see if City keeps going for goal or if they're going to try to lay it off at some point.
Yeah, you asked a really good question earlier, Chris, when you said, is Iowa's impressive play the result of impressive players, impressive coaching, and I think we agree it's both, but I think the way they're coached, the way they're making adjustments, probably some of them on the field on the fly from leaders on the team, but they definitely have a really savvy coach who's got them very well prepared for these finals this weekend. I had the opportunity to watch them train a little bit. They came into the Fieldhouse on Friday, and ref put the whistle in but did not call it. That was interesting. I don't know if he was giving an advantage. Iowa feeling a little bit frustrated with the lack of a call there. I think there have been moments today where both teams have felt a little bit aggrieved by the call, or in that case, the lack of a call. But that's what happens when you get two heavyweights going at it, two teams that can actually challenge each other physically and otherwise. You're going to have moments like that where the call isn't appreciated because it's just impossible to get it right. Like I said earlier, I do not envy the referees. This is a tough game to officiate.
Yeah, there's a lot of passion and a lot of history.
They're doing a fine job, and they're dealing with a lot of emotion around them, no doubt. And here comes Megan Durant. It's well taken by Megan Durant. Felt like she might have gotten a little bit of extended arm, but we've got 1 minute to play. Where's the time going, Chris? We're 1 minute out from halftime. I think it's a testament to the quality of play in this match and the chess match that we've been able to enjoy here, that time is flying. I don't know what that is. I don't know what happened there, Chris.
I was going to ask you. I was hoping that you
Did she dribble it over midfield? Is she not allowed to do that?
She did, but she did that earlier in the game, and they didn't call anything.
That is so interesting to me.
Because I know I was going to ask you earlier in the game, does that rule change if you take it over midfield?
Right. Can you bring it over yourself? I don't know why you wouldn't be able to, but that seems to be the violation. No, we're going the other way? What's happening here? The refs have to have a conversation, I think. They got to figure this out because this is a pivotal decision. Looks like it's a line free kick. I don't know if that's the appropriate term, but a free kick from that yellow line for Detroit City FC. Katie Coleman's going to let it fly. It gets blocked, and here comes Amanda Britton. Oh, my God. I love it when Fatima Nasser does that. Yeah. It's like the splits tackle. She just totally, oh, my gosh. Oh. Wow, what an effort there. Fatima Nasser just lays out, fully extended, tackles with the outside of her foot, and has enough strength and athleticism to actually win the tackle, even though she's in a totally vulnerable position there. She finds a way to generate enough force to win the ball. It's really impressive. One of her many impressive qualities. And we go into the half with a shot from Katie Coleman, hopefully a sign for Detroit City FC, hopefully a sign of how they'll start in the second half. But kudos to both teams for a well-played, even match here. We've got Iowa Demon Hawks at 4, Detroit City FC at 3. Chris, final thoughts for the half.
This is everything I think that we wanted in this match.
Yep.
It's close. Both teams are clearly very passionate. They both really want to win, and it's showing in both their play and also their emotions. And it's been a fun watch, and I'm excited for the second half.
Absolutely. We'd expect nothing less from both of these teams. They're here for a reason. They're in the national semifinal. Everything to play for in the second half. I've been David Dewey. This has been Chris Hemler. We are coming to you live from the Detroit City Fieldhouse. We're going to take a brief break here at halftime. We'll be back for the second half. And we are back at the Detroit City Fieldhouse for half number 2 in semifinal number 1. The score is 4-3.
You just threw out a lot of numbers there.
So many numbers, Chris.
There's people at home with a dry erase board trying to track
that equation.
Yeah.
Well, for those of you tuning in from home, we welcome you back. We had a fantastic first half here, a lot of action, quite a few goals, but more importantly, a real chess match happening right now between the number 1 seed Iowa Demon Hawks, the number 5 seed Detroit City FC women, who are hosting this national tournament event this weekend. We had Iowa go out to an early 2-goal lead. Detroit City FC closed the gap, and then Iowa extended once again, but Detroit City FC have since cut the deficit to just 1, and it's been a heck of a game so far, everything to play for. Chris, impressions from the first half?
I just think there were 2 very different quarters. You saw the first quarter where it seemed like it was difficult for City to get organized, and they were always on the back foot. And then in the second quarter, you got to see, some very organized defending on both sides, but then also the game did open up a little bit where we saw a lot of action on both ends. And so I'm excited to see what kind of quarter we're going to get here.
Chris, you just put the cute in acute, as in that was an acute observation.
Thank you.
Of the first half, and I couldn't agree more. I think things really changed when Detroit City FC started going at it a bit more, pressing the goalie, trying to put him under a little bit more pressure than in the first quarter when I think they were sitting off maybe at their own to their own detriment.
And I think it's what City needed to do after seeing how the first quarter went.
Yeah, it almost felt like they were a little bit of a passenger in the game, and they just started to drive a bit more, and it took it upon themselves to just bring it to Iowa and force them out of their comfort zone a little bit.
So let's talk halftime chats.
Yes.
You're Iowa. What's the chat? What's the message that you send your team?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think in some ways this is unfamiliar territory for them. I'm pretty sure that most games this season they've had a comfortable lead by the half, or at least a multiple goal lead, and so probably talking a little bit about playing in a tighter game. Some of the nuance around that, whether it's being careful, giving up fouls. What a tackle from Hannah Crum. Jeez. And then a nice return tackle from Iowa. Man, this has just been a real, back and forth trading of blows.
Yeah.
Hannah Crum, great track back there to slow the Iowa counter. Number 11 on Iowa.
Gallegos
has just been
what a block.
Ooh, we got a foul going the other way. See, that's what Hannah Crum does well.
Yeah.
Perhaps better than anybody. Oh, and look at that. And we got a little bit of a return of the yellow card, and Hannah Crum was involved in both of those exchanges, but getting under Gallegos' skin a little bit there and causing some kind of reaction that maybe provoked the decision to give a yellow card. It won't be a power play, as we saw in the first half, but it will be a momentary sitting out period for Gallegos, which is key because she's been pulling the strings for Iowa tonight.
Yeah, she's been a huge piece of the puzzle for Iowa, and so just even having her off the field for a few minutes, gives City a chance, even though it's not a power play. It might feel like it based on she's been everywhere. Yep,
well said. And just to finish the thought from earlier prior to that exchange, I think if you're Danny Evans and the Detroit City FC coaching staff, you double down on the impact that grit and fight and determination played in flipping the script in the second quarter. They clearly got a lot of mileage out of just upping their intensity and upping the effort. And I think you just point out that's going to be key today. We simply, if you're Detroit City FC, you simply cannot lose in any category that involves effort or energy or intensity. If you win those, you're giving yourself a chance in this game. You're playing a great opponent, and there's only so much you can do about their quality.
Yeah.
But you can outwork them and you can outfight them if you want to. You have to, I should say, if you're going to want a chance at winning this thing. Great ball from Katie Coleman. Little looper from Mackenzie Ruber there. Chris, another thing that came up at halftime as you and I were taking a little break, we talked to the referee crew that worked some games yesterday that's not on this game. Got some clarity. We had a little confusion between us when there was a call against Iowa when their goalie had entered the half. Turns out there is a 4-second rule for goalkeepers, whether they're holding it in their hands, as Kirsten Williams is right now. She has 4 seconds to release it. If she receives the ball back and has it at her feet, once again, she has 4 seconds to get it off her foot. And I think the play in question, the Iowa goalkeeper, Tinahero, she had received the ball back. It was at her feet. She elected to dribble it into the Detroit City FC half, but took more than 4 seconds to do so, and that's why that whistle had come. Thanks to the wonderful referees that work so many of our home games and are here for the weekend. Amazing crews. We've got a great crew on this game. We had great crews yesterday. Just one of many parts of this MASLW finals weekend that have just been completely professional. And I know the city of Detroit and the organization Detroit City FC are extremely honored to be hosting this event. And to have fantastic refs is a big part of that experience and that process. And we just want to say thank you to our wonderful referees for all the hard work they do. And it's a difficult job. You know, we were talking quite a bit in the first half about, you know, situations that were tough for one team or the other to accept. And it's a tough job. It's a thankless job. Oh, I held my breath there because Karina Medina had a great shot. She hit it first time as she needed to. It just went wide of the Iowa post. What a strike there from Katie. Katie Coleman's left foot is vicious. And,
you know, you think she goes out wide that there's no chance of it, you know, testing the keeper, but she has proven time again that she can test the keeper from that angle.
And I just want to point out the sequence that we just witnessed, which has culminated in Detroit City FC having the ball going forward. I think what we've seen in the last 15, 20 seconds here, Detroit City FC having the ball on Iowa's end. Iowa struggling to get it. Once again, giving up possession. Going the other way for Detroit City FC with the free kick. I feel like Detroit City FC have started to do a little bit to Iowa what Iowa did so well to Detroit in the first half. It certainly hasn't been a tilting of the field just yet. I wouldn't go that far, but I do think that Detroit City FC have found a way into this match. They're actually doing a little bit of what they like to do rather than completely reacting to Iowa.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see, David, if that changes now that Gallegos is back on the field.
Yes, good point. There was a notable omission in the Iowa roster during the last couple minutes that will certainly change things with her return.
I do want to correct something you said earlier.
Yeah.
You said that there was a bit of confusion between us in the first half, and I would just like to say that there has been a considerable amount of confusion between us in the first half.
The word bit needed to be maybe upped a bit. Yeah, fair enough. And hey, I'm comfortable with discomfort.
Absolutely.
And I like not knowing, and we appreciate our crowd at home and our audience giving us a little bit of leeway on that. You too, Chris, are someone that you embrace the discomfort. As an educator, you model that for kids all the time. It's good to not know all the answers.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's good when we this will be interesting. Is the goalie going to get there to stop? Oh, wow. She showed some upper body strength there, running Zoe Greenhouse off the ball.
You know, I think they were pretty level. It was shoulder to shoulder. But
that was a good challenge and a really impressive recovery from the Iowa goalkeeper there.
That could have been dangerous.
That could have been very dangerous. Great pass from Megan Varant.
Great ball.
Here comes Erin. Oh, into her own player. Unfortunate, but she's still fighting. Man, Erin Torrance is a handful. And physically and otherwise, I think she's starting to grow into this game, having a little bit more of the impact that we saw with her against Louisville last night. And she's playing in a much deeper position than she was able to play in the first half. I felt like she was mostly defending earlier in the game.
Which I think she also did pretty effectively.
She is going to be good no matter where you put her, for sure. Here comes Tinahero once again. Man, she's just got a really impressive ping. She can clip the ball into the Detroit end pretty comfortably. Nice clearance from Kira Carfanta. Hannah Crum's going to pressure.
I want to say that now that I know the rule, I watched Torrance kind of count on her fingers as soon as the keeper had the ball.
It's almost like everybody's paying attention to these potential infractions because you want to know how to gauge your. Oh, what a touch from Hannah Crum. What a touch from Hannah Crum. And Detroit keep the ball, as we were saying earlier. It's the more they can do this, I think the more they're going to make Iowa uncomfortable. Iowa's not used to defending a team that's in possession. And Detroit City FC, much more so already in this third quarter than we saw in the entire first half, have found phases of possession where it's sustained. Even when they lose it temporarily, they win it right back. Iowa is now the team that's a little bit pressed back. Hannah Crum going at it again with Gallegos. That's going to be a matchup to watch here in the second half.
Yeah.
Kayla Addison, like Erin Torrance, able to be in a more advanced position here. Her preferred post-up position. Well defended by number 19 on Iowa, Denise Valdez, who I believe opened their scoring account today. She's got a goal as well. I remember saying that name earlier in the match.
think there was a second goal.
Second goal.
The first goal was Tina Harrow.
Ooh, what a save from the knee of Kirsten Williams. Kirsten Williams, we were talking at halftime, Chris, about some of the differences between the Detroit City FC netminders. And when it comes to point-blank reaction saves and being well-suited to the arena game, I think Kirsten Williams is as good as they come. Becca Prisbolo, a little bit more adept with the ball at her feet, distribution, a little more calm in her game, not for better or worse, just a slightly different approach, and I think a lot of that's informed by the fact that she's first and foremost a traditional 11v11 goalkeeper where the pace of the game's a little different. Kirsten has spent most of her later years as a soccer player in this arena league environment, and so you get kind of two sets of strengths with those two.
Well, I think too, it's how rare it is to see teams that are both that use two keepers.
Yeah, you see in Iowa here just one keeper being used. I think we're on camera, Chris. Should we wave?
We should.
We got Amber on the camera today. Hey, Amber, thanks for filming the game. You're doing a great job. Everybody at home. That's Amber behind the camera today. We got Alex Wright on production. I've been David Dewey. This has been Chris Hemler, and we are bringing you semifinal number 1 of the MASLW National Championship. We had 4 quarterfinal matches yesterday. This is semi 1 between Iowa and Detroit, and later today at 7 p.m. we're going to have Cincinnati versus RPFC from the Dallas area. That, my friend, is a tasty fixture.
Yeah, that's gonna be a good one. I'm excited for it. And I think just a message to the people at home, I recognize that we are much better looking than you probably thought we were.
Yeah.
So
surprise.
Yeah, this is us. So what entices you? What entices you the most about the next fixture here?
Well, I didn't get a chance to see as much of the RPFC game as I hoped yesterday. It was like the part of the day that I had to run home. But I remember them very well from last year's national tournament. And the thing that I'd say about them is, of all the teams that played Chihuahua Savage last year, they were the one team that got something out of the match. I think they may have actually beaten them in the regular season, but more importantly, they gave them a very close game. A game like what we're seeing here in the national semifinal. And Detroit City FC did their best against Chihuahua Savage in the final. I think they hit a buzzsaw that day. But I just remember taking away from that, like, well, if RPFC gave them a game, they must be a really good team as well. Little set-piece action, well blocked by Kayla Addison.
You never want to leave. You never really want to leave the wall, but Kayla did that in such a way where it was clear that she knew, as an attacker, she knew where they wanted that ball to go.
Yeah,
she did
very intelligently. Yep. But then to finish the thought, Cincinnati, I think of all the teams I watched yesterday, Cincinnati impressed me the most just in terms of completeness.
Yeah.
The way they moved the ball, the way they ran off the ball.
Their intensity was phenomenal.
Incredible. And it didn't relent. They played it the full 60 that way, and then they had a handful of players that really just stood out as being a bit special to me. We'll get to this when we cover the broadcast at 7, but they had 3 players that I would say were like players to watch. And, that combination of some individual difference makers and then some, wow, I don't know what's happening here. I think he's bringing it back.
Yeah, they were playing an advantage, it looks like.
Well said, Chris. So it's going to be a Detroit City FC free kick because the advantage did not amount to anything.
I think, too, it's easy to take a look at Cincy and say, oh, they're a bit of a lower seed, or I guess a higher seed. But I think watching them yesterday, you can't write them off one bit.
Couldn't agree more. I think they are a sneaky 7 seed.
Yeah.
And a team that RPFC will no doubt show a lot of respect for in the way they approach that game, because RPFC is an experienced club in this league, and they know, having watched Cincinnati yesterday. Here's Anya Dow.
I mean, just the grit in Anya, and you saw it on her face too as she turned with that ball. She's in it now. She wants it.
Chris, I had the pleasure of being Anya's high school math teacher. Were you at Liggett when she was there, or did you just miss her?
I just missed her. I came in 2015.
An amazing student athlete, Anya Dow, a collegiate hockey player, a converted arena soccer player. Mm-hmm. Most of her experience had been in the outdoor game, but she's figured it out quickly, especially with her hockey savvy.
Yeah.
And a fun little thing to celebrate, I spoke with her yesterday. She's just finishing up her time as a med student at Wayne State University, and she just found out she matched at Beaumont here, so she's staying in Detroit. She's going to be doing a psychiatry residency, and good news for Danny Evans and her staff. She's going to be staying in the area and hopefully able to continue playing with our women's team.
I heard that on one of the broadcasts yesterday.
Oh, did they mention it when I wasn't on?
Yeah.
Man, I'm sorry to be repetitive.
Actually, I think technically you were on camera. You were in the background.
Oh, okay. Well, thanks. Thanks for noticing.
Yeah, no problem.
But I will say that everyone here at the club and everyone who knows Anya are extremely proud of her, and Anya, if you're listening in, congratulations again on matching. You're going to be an amazing therapist, and the medical world is lucky to have you.
Not as lucky as DCFC is.
True. We're all lucky.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's lucky. If Anya's involved, you're fortunate. And she's been a great addition to this arena team, bringing that hockey know-how that we mentioned, but also just
what a save.
A great locker room player. For I don't know how else to say that. Like, she's just somebody that she's a magnetic personality.
Yep.
People gravitate toward her. She's kind.
Ooh, that was an excellent
Detroit City
ball.
FC getting off the hook there.
Yeah, that was
a
an
really
excellent
nice
ball.
dynamic pass from the Iowa player that just couldn't quite convert. But yeah, I think part of the strength of this Detroit City FC team is their off-the-field closeness. And having been around them a bit this winter at the Fieldhouse when they're training on Wednesdays, you appreciate very quickly that Anya is a key figure in all that, keeping the team together. They hang out after training. They just got a good dynamic between them, and it shows on the field the way they fight for each other. There's no ego in this team. They're very selfless. When things aren't going well, they band together rather than point the finger. I think they have all the signs of a high-level team. And the same could be said for Iowa. They clearly have a sisterhood among their players. I watched them train on Friday. They're all clearly very close. They get along very well, and you see the same from them on the field. Like, they have each other's backs. They work hard together. They work well together. And just two great teams going at it today, Chris.
And I was watching them in warm-ups, and for those of you at home, during the warm-ups, there's music going on, and it's like a club atmosphere here. And it was so much fun to watch both teams kind of serious about the warm-up and about their preparation, but also having a little fun, dancing, singing.
It is a cool glimpse into what they might be like off the field. Like, they're dancing with each other. The Detroit City FC bench, what a save from Kirsten Williams. Oh, Fatima Nasser. Oh my gosh, she took that one.
So let's see
Ref,
if
you
they'll whistle
gotta
that one, yeah.
I think she blocked. There've been like 4 or 5 today where the shot is hit the player in that. Looks like the Iowa player is kind of protesting that whistle, which I don't think the ref appreciated. It's coming off now.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the complaint was. Maybe that they were in on goal.
Good scoring chance, yeah. I will say, just in terms of, any concern that Iowa might have had that they were deprived of a scoring chance there. The shot that was taken and it was saved.
Before the whistle, yeah.
So hopefully there's no conspiracy theory there that it was a poor call from the ref. Fatima Nasser clearly shaken up by that. Blocked that with her head, and as we've said so many times today, and trainer Chelsea Radigan, who is the best in the business, signaling possible concussion, so they're bringing out, I think, the team physician as well to look after Fatima. We're thinking of her and sending good vibes right now.
You hate to see that, anytime, but seeing how important she's been, for the back line in this game against this offense too. You really hope that she's okay for multiple reasons.
And that she can go on playing. I know she is Fatima Nasser, for those who are a little less familiar with this squad and with her as a person, like an amazing human being, a wonderful addition to the roster a few years ago. But above all else, she loves soccer. You come here on a random Thursday night, she'll be playing in a competitive co-ed game or a non-competitive co-ed. Like, she will not turn a game away. She's never too good for it, even though she's often too good for it.
Yeah.
She's a fantastic player, a great personality, and like I said, I think she just, above all else, loves the game. And so
there's quite a few players like that on this roster.
There
I think about Elisa Barron, who has come out and played with our Sunday morning group a bit, and
good point.
Just loves to play.
Just loves to play. Enjoys the game on so many levels. Great opportunity to give a shout out to Elisa Barron, who's home with her family in Germany right now. Elisa, we're thinking of you as always. We look forward to welcoming you back to Detroit in a few weeks, and we hope you're having a really nice visit with your family and that you'll send them all our best wishes. And we know Elisa's tuning in because she is always with this team.
Yes.
Whether she's on the field, on the bench, coaching, sports performance, or otherwise, she is a devoted member of this team. I had the pleasure of coaching Elisa on the USLW team in 2023. She was a dutiful captain, an amazing defensive player, and as she's gotten older, she's kind of converted to more of a midfield position in the 11v11 setting, but she was a fantastic left back for the arena team this winter. Unavailable for these playoffs this weekend as she's out of town, but what a person, what a ambassador for the club. Eliza, if you're listening, hallo, wie geht's? Herzlichen Glückwunsch von David und Chris.
Did you tell her to come join us on Sunday mornings again?
Yeah, basically.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see what they're going to do with the restart here, because the whistle did come after the shot was taken, but it does look like they're going to give Iowa the ball.
Yeah, and maybe that's a fair compromise, although this is a very dangerous area.
Yes.
Detroit City FC are going to have to be on their toes here. Kirsten Williams cut off as much as she can. I think we're going to see a shot on goal.
What a defensive intervention.
Well done.
There.
Really well done. I think if you're Detroit City FC right now, you're also prioritizing like keeping this lead to a minimum. If you can keep Iowa from extending it and keep it a one-goal margin, you stay in this game, you stay relevant. So definitely prioritizing the defensive end, even though I think they've had a lot of success being offensive and putting Iowa back on their heels a bit. Certainly more so than they did in the first half. Here we see Gallegos, who's just been fantastic.
And you see how she runs off the ball, too.
So good.
She's always thinking about the next move.
Yeah, just such a great person to have on the ball in all situations, but especially these half-court sets where Iowa are in possession and basically with the numerical advantage because they're bringing their goalkeeper up.
Well, and if you're looking to keep an eye on her, too, she's never on the same part of the field. You know, she's played both sides, up front and back.
They're mixing it up. She is a field, as I said yesterday about, forget who I said it about. Might have been the Louisville goalkeeper. She's a field player disguised as a goalie. You'd be just as happy to have her playing right back right now.
Yep.
She's comfortable on the ball. She can ping it. She can strike it, as we saw with their first goal. She's extremely composed. She's comfortable in this situation. I think if you're a goalie this far off your line, there's got to be a little bit of you that is like, oh my gosh, what am I doing here? And she does not.
Yeah.
She does not show any signs of that kind of panic or second guessing. She's a very confident sweeper keeper. Great ball from Ali Tiefin. Can Karina Medina find the opening to shoot?
She's bossing it.
She's a ball, man. Karina Medina for the second day in a row here, just showing a level of grit and determination that's inspirational. There she is again, winning a tackle. Gosh, go on, Karina Medina. Go on. Nice little clearance there from Kira Carfanta. So this is what Detroit City FC needs, a little bit of sustained possession. Erin Torrance is going to pick this ball up and run at the back line.
That's a great
nice intervention. But she might get there first, Erin Torrance. What do we got here, Chris? Oh, we got a player down. Once again, I just didn't see it. I didn't see it. It hit her head?
That's what she's holding her head right now.
Well, she just kind of mistrapped the ball, and I don't know if she hit her head when she went down. Not sure what's going on here. I guess the one thing that's different about the arena game when you compare it to an 11-on-11 setting is that, and I think the Iowa players are asking the referees to. I don't really know what's going on right now. I'm confused, but
I wonder if you went back and listened back to our commentary. How many times we'd say, I don't know, or I'm confused.
Yeah. It's okay to be confused.
Yeah.
I think what Danny Evans is pointing out from the Detroit City FC bench is that right now there are 6 players on the field. I don't know that was going on while play was going on. Maybe she's pointing out that just like as a rule, you can't have 6 players on the field like at any time. I think we'll get some clarity on this in a minute.
But if we go back to what we're talking about with Alondra Tinajero, just the way that she. I think the thing that has surprised me the most, I knew coming in that she was going to be good on the ball.
Yeah.
But the way that she can get to those 50-50 balls, too, and the way that she is willing to commit to those 50-50 balls has been pretty phenomenal to see.
Because I think in situations like that where you're the last player and you do get your clearance blocked or, there's an interception that leads to that's where you're probably not going to be super comfortable. She seems to be most comfortable dealing with those emergency situations as well. Or I should say she's as comfortable there as she is anywhere else. She's just a very well-rounded goalkeeper. I can't say enough about how impressed we've been with her. And frankly, when I watched Iowa play in their first game yesterday, I didn't see this from her because she didn't need to be this player.
You're right.
They weren't, Lone Star wasn't really able to break out as much as Detroit City AFC have been able to. And so you didn't see her have to deal with that situation. But my understanding, Chris, from Alex right here in production is that we're going to have an Iowa penalty. I wonder if it's because of the 6 players on. I don't know. Again, I don't know if that was happening when they were in the run of play or if it was afterward in reaction to the injury. But we see 4 Iowa field players on the field right now confirming that it is going to be a power play for Detroit City FC and a huge opportunity for Detroit City FC. And I'm just going to go ahead and say it, Chris. Hannah Crum and her wand of a left foot lining up over this ball like Katie Coleman did earlier. I wonder if she's going to just unleash a free kick to lead us off here. I also am not 100% sure if it's a Detroit City FC free kick because all of a sudden the Iowa players are pretty close to the ball. So
I think too. I'm impressed with what appears to be the move that Iowa had. It looked like someone jumping in the box with someone with their track jacket still on.
Oh.
But now I don't see anyone in the box.
A lot going on. We understand and know about I'd say maybe I'll be generous. We know what's going. We know about a third of what's going on, and there's probably 2/3 of stuff that's either just totally escaping our attention or we're unaware of the rules that apply. But hey, if you're a baseball player, 333 ain't a bad batting average. Am I right?
That's true. That's about the percentage of coffee you've managed to lose outside of your coffee cup.
Oh my God! I'm Will Ferrell in Kicking and Screaming. For those of you who haven't seen that movie, I'd highly recommend it. Great ball from Hannah Crum. Good effort from Aaron Torrance in the post-up position.
It's one of your favorites to play in the soccer camp that you ran.
Nice little move there from Katie Coleman. This is better from City. We got that might get a foul. I was going to say, now do we get a 5-on-3, Chris? I think we're going to see, for the first time this weekend, a 5-on-3 numerical advantage, a blue card given to number 22, which is, interestingly, that's Sylvia Ozzie Castillo, who is typically Iowa's goal scorer and assist provider. And we've been talking a lot about Gallegos today, but Ozzie is a special player. She's a first-team all-league selection, and she was put into a defensive position there out of necessity, defending a power play. I mean, she's clearly just a well-rounded player, but she's now going to be in the box for 2 minutes, which is...
Well, and I also think the tackle itself wasn't the issue. I think the tackle was pretty clean.
Yeah.
I think the issue was she had an elbow extended kind of in the aftermath.
And it caught the play. It caught Katie Coleman.
Yep.
We got a conversation happening here between coach and referee.
I know
Iowa
the
players
supporters
protesting.
in the stands are getting a little bit loud about it as well.
Yep.
I think this is a well-positioned timeout for them.
Yeah, hopefully it also just calms the game down a bit. I think we've seen there were some phases of this game, especially in the first half, where tackles were flying in and decisions were being protested, and the game just got a little frenetic. And I think everyone would much prefer to watch these two teams play in that controlled state where they're just like really showing how good they are at soccer, passing, moving, probing with their attack, and like playing that calculated version of the game as opposed to it being like a little bit more of just like a dog fight.
But I think you've talked about it too, David, in that they're playing a very different game than they normally play, and so I think this would be a great opportunity for the coaching staff to just say, hey, listen, like, this is what we need you to do.
Right.
You're
this
not
is how
used
we get
to
through this. Yeah, for sure. And we're going to see Iowa in possession here. 3 defending 5. If you're Detroit City FC, you want to reclaim possession as soon as you can. And we're very smart what Iowa's done there, sending a player forward who actually, it doesn't give.
Jeez, Pete's. There's some extracurriculars there as well.
He was almost going to give another card. He looked like he reached for it. That's fouls going against number 26, Valeria Macias on Kira Carfanta. Valeria a little frustrated with that one. I think she felt like she was getting held as well. But when you're defending 3 against 5, I think anything that doesn't go your way is going to be frustrating because you're already up against it.
Yep.
Iowa have done very well so far in limiting Detroit City FC's chances. Detroit City opting to shoot from distance and maybe try and establish. Oh, here's Aaron Torrance.
And I think they showed in the first half too that they are they are comfortable on a penalty kill. And look at this.
Look at that. That's well done by the goalkeeper, man. She's got a bag of tricks that she's basically dipping into and showing how diverse her talents are. That's Alondra Tinajero, goalkeeper extraordinaire, but also field player extraordinaire today. She's just done some really clever things to have helped her team out. Karina Medina, thoughtful ball off the boards there. Detroit City FC definitely playing the arena game. Ooh, this is a chance. What a save! What a save from Tinajero. Had to shift across the box.
She came all the way across the box.
Detroit City FC are exactly where they want to be right now. Creating chance after chance. The Iowa legs are getting tired. Iowa's back to 4. Still got a power play. Aaron Torrance. Great block from the. I think it might.
Corner. Oh no, it won't.
I'm surprised that's going to be an Iowa ball. It seemed to hit some people on the way through, but they're sending a player deep. They're going to try and make this.
Goes, so they got to be careful.
Man, she's so smart, making that run forward.
Yep.
Well defended by Karina Medina. What a tackle by Karina Medina against an extremely talented.
And
what a
an
block.
excellent stop.
Oh my God!
That was a hit.
Oh my God, Gallegos, that is nuts. That is nuts.
It looked like she hit the first one with her left, which was a great strike, and then came back.
Jeez, what a player. What a player. I mean, at that point, you just got to, if you're Detroit City FC, you just got to say, like, okay, let's keep playing because there's nothing you can do about that.
Yeah.
Kirsten Williams can't, no one can save that. It's just a laser into the upper 90 there. Top corner, what a finish, what an effort. And that's a short-handed goal, which stings if you're Detroit City FC, but again, there's not much you can do about that. Just a great individual effort from Gallegos.
Well, and you called it too. That run she came right from the bench on that run.
Yeah, that was really smart, and the goalkeeper had it.
So it's hard to track that.
Yeah.
You know, when someone's not on the field and then all of a sudden they are making a beeline. So rare lapse there from Tinajero, but she was able to recover nicely, and again, another excellent clearance.
Going to get a foul on Kira Carfanta for leaving a leg. I don't think we'll see a card. I think it was just two players tangled up.
Gallegos was certainly asking for one, but I don't know that warranted it.
But
certainly the official agreed.
If you're Iowa, this is great because now you're now full strength, so they're really going to be able to, like, you know, it's a shame if you're Detroit City FC, you kind of, oh wow, we got a bicycle kick attempt there.
It's got to be careful with the clock ticking down. You don't want to give up a super late one.
Yep. Well, that'll end the period, Chris. 5-3, Iowa able to extend their lead to 2. The chess match continues. What a game it's been. We've got 15 more minutes to enjoy here and everything to play for in the fourth quarter. Quick recap of the third, Chris?
Well, I just think too, I mean, we saw another pretty closed game.
We'll bring that back to you. We'll start the fourth period with that analysis, and we'll take a brief break here.
All right, sounds good.
And we are back, Chris Hemler and David DeWahey for quarter number 4 and semifinal number 1. It's 5-3. Iowa have extended their lead courtesy of an absolute rocket from Andrea Gallegos, number 11 on Iowa, who's just been a showstopper tonight. She's been all over the field, pulling the strings offensively. She's been a key cog in the wheel that is Iowa today. Can Detroit City FC respond? Chris, you were starting to analyze the third quarter as we took a quick exit from the broadcast. Oh my gosh!
Oh wow!
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh!
I cannot believe, and just the way that she was able to just direct that with the outside of her foot.
What a finish!
In just a snap decision.
Yep.
She didn't have any time to think about that reaction.
And that's off the training ground, Chris. That's a set piece off the kickoff. Ball played negative to Claire Ciarlino, clipped it over the top. Kayla Addison caught the defense a little bit slow, and like you said, used the outside of her foot to perfection. Game on!
I mean, that was 6 seconds, and then she subbed out.
Yeah, that's right. I think that's how you got to do it.
Yeah.
Take the sub while you can. Here comes Detroit City FC, going to try and build off the momentum of that goal. Mary Grimes has Mackenzie Ruber streaking. What a pass!
And
wow.
And it's Tina Harrow again, showing that she's not afraid to take that step up for that 50-50.
Seriously. This game just
looked like Becca
up.
saw that late, too.
Yeah.
And
great save.
She made a great stop there.
Becca Prisbilo, the goalkeeper of choice for quarter 4 for Detroit City FC. She had a very good second quarter. Detroit City FC did not concede in that quarter. They're going to try and keep that trend going with Becca between the pipes for quarter number 4.
And I think that's a good transition. And what I was going to say is that, after the first quarter where it was kind of seemed like we were going to have a pretty high-scoring game, the quarter 2 and quarter 3 both ended with a single goal scored.
Yep. It's slowed down in terms of production, but sped way up in pretty much every other category.
Correct.
The crispness of passing, the movement off the ball, like these are two teams that I would say probably pride themselves on their fitness, on their ability to stay at a high level of intensity throughout the entire match. I know Detroit City FC have certainly been really prioritizing that in recent weeks, and we're going to see how that plays out here in this final phase of the game. What a save!
What a stop.
What a shot, by the way.
That was also an excellent hit.
Really clever from Iowa's number 4, Marta Gonzalez, to go across her body with the shot, kind of against the grain. Becca Prisbilo had to be really keyed in on that one. I'd just like to take this opportunity as somebody who's watching this game live, and I'm sure that our audience at home is appreciating it as well. This is extremely high-level soccer, and we're all being treated to, an amazing spectacle of a match. And I just want to give props to all the ladies on the pitch here for entertaining us. Becca Prisbilo is going to get it back from the referee. For providing us with such amazing entertainment and for setting such a great example for any young kids at home on how to play this game with a combination of intensity and skill and teamwork. This game has just featured all the best facets of the game, and credit to both Iowa and Detroit City FC for providing that for us. Here comes Zoe Greenhalgh. No foul called. She was in on goal, opted to shoot, just went over. We're going to get a quick change here from Detroit City FC. Both teams making the change, trying to get some fresh legs on. I think we talked about it on the broadcast for the Louisville game last night, Detroit City FC versus Louisville, how pivotal a role substitutions and the ability to substitute quickly and efficiently starts to really become a big feature of the game. I'm sure we're going to see it in this fourth quarter. The team that can stay the freshest and change with efficiency, not giving up any chances in transition while making substitutions, that might just be the difference as this game reaches its conclusion.
And I think too, like, if you're not used to playing indoor, especially boarded indoor soccer, you are exhausted.
Yes, and when you're coming off the field, you're completely spent.
Yep.
And when you come on, obviously you get a little jolt of energy, but it leaves you quickly because you're running up and down so much. But especially when subbing off, when trying to get off the field, your legs feel about 100 pounds, and these players are making it look easy, but it is anything but. And I think the 3-foot rule on the substitutions, forcing teams to really wait till the player's off, it adds that extra little bit of urgency for the player coming off, and it's probably the last thing they want to do is like.
Well, and we did see that turn into a power play for Detroit City.
That's right. That's
earlier
right.
In this match,
the sixth player on the field penalty that led to a blue card. Good defensive help there from Kayla Addison.
Yep. And there she is coming across again.
Well done. That's a good ball from Kira Carfonta. I think any ball that really forces Iowa back into their own half is considered a success.
Yeah.
Here comes Hannah Crum. Going to try and take advantage of that well-timed substitution. Oh my gosh.
Off the crossbar.
Oh my gosh. Chris, I'm feeling like I did when I was watching the Louisville game last night. My heart's racing. We got a 1-goal game here. 2 teams that are going at it, and we're getting crazy chances. Crazy chances.
Kayla Addison almost just picked it off of the goalie's foot again.
It's just a great recovery there from Karina Medina. Man, she's been as offensive as she is.
Yeah.
Defensively, she has blown me away this weekend with her play.
Well, and she's just getting in front of everything. She's not afraid to put her body on the line.
And look at her. She's like totally locked in.
What a ball there.
That's a beautiful goal.
Yeah.
That is a really well-taken team goal from Iowa. Let's see how Detroit City FC respond to that.
And I think too, like if you think about, Iowa has been kind of running things from the back.
Yep.
But that was a goal where you pull the defender off to the side and you put it right in the middle at a high percentage chance.
She tucked that away nicely. That was number 26, Valeria Macias, proving to be a menace on both sides of the ball today. She's been very good defensively, but also big goal contribution there to give her team a 2-goal margin.
And you can almost see the confidence boost that Iowa has
already
just from that.
Yep. I think Detroit City FC had a great opportunity when this quarter began and they scored that goal to grab some momentum, but Iowa, as they are so adept at doing, exerting their advantage in possession, and they just found a way back into a control position here, a position of authority in this match. And
that was Marta Gonzalez again, manufacturing her own shot.
Wow, what a save. Yeah, Marta Gonzalez has really shown something in this fourth quarter. She's obviously, contributed this game, but we haven't called her name much. But the last couple times she's received the ball, gone one-on-one and created a scoring chance for herself, she's really looked the part, and I think she's unsettled the Detroit City back line. What a save.
Another save.
That was another almost from Valeria Macias. She's really stepped up her game in the fourth quarter as well.
I think, too, this shows a bit of Iowa's depth as well.
Yes. They have what's interesting is we've got a player on the Iowa roster who's first team all-league, and that is sorry, I'm just making sure I get the number right. Number 22, Sylvia Azi Castillo, who has not really been as much of a contributor on the score sheet tonight, obviously finding ways to help her team no matter what.
Yeah.
She's a handful. But we've been talking about 3-4 other players at different points who have also been players to watch for Detroit City FC. So when you tally that up, it's a lot to handle. If you're Detroit City FC defensively, they have a lot of weapons. Iowa does, and they're kind of taking turns using them, which is what good teams do.
When you see now they're timing their runs in a way that's pulling players out of position, and it's the same way that happened on their 6th goal. But even now, they're pulling the forwards back into the defensive line, which then makes it really difficult to counter as well.
Yep. Yeah, it's that boa constrictor effect that we saw yesterday against Lone Star. When they have a lead like this late in the game, they're very comfortable. They have no problem keeping possession. Detroit City FC at this point on tired legs, clearing the ball a little bit more so than playing it out of the back. Fatigue's going to start to set in. Detroit City FC have to find a way into this game. A goal would be the best medicine.
And I think they also have to remember how quickly they were able to come back from the 2-0 deficit.
Oh, absolutely.
You can't lose faith in yourself when you've shown it today in this match that you can come back from a deficit quickly.
For sure. And I think whereas, the obvious thing to say is that they need 2 goals to tie it up. But honestly, I think 1 goal changes everything. Oh, that's a great. There she is. Guess who? Marta Gonzalez. What a finish across her body.
And Gonzalez, she heard you say one goal can make a huge difference.
Yeah.
And she said, "Okay, I'll take that.
I'll
advice.
Score that goal."
Yeah,
that was a really nice goal from Iowa there, and a clutch moment because I think Detroit City FC were maybe looking to surge there. Now they're down 3. They're going to have to find a way back in. But I was going to say, if you're Detroit City FC, I think it still holds. 1 goal, though it doesn't tie it up, it changes the tenor of the match. It gives you momentum again, and it puts Iowa on their heels. makes them start to second guess, are we really in the clear here? And you just need one. You know, you don't need to score all 3 goals all at once. You need one, and you build off it. And I think Detroit City FC are experienced enough. Head coach Danny Evans is no doubt reminding them of that. This is a good sign that they have possession right now, that they're establishing a bit of a
another good
territorial advantage. Wow, good save there from Alondra Tinajero. She's been excellent tonight, the Iowa goalkeeper.
Yes, she has. In every aspect.
In every aspect.
And I think too that might be where, you know, if you are Detroit City and you have this desire to hang your head, I think it's because you know that in addition to getting past, you know, the defenders, you've also now have to get past.
You have the last line of defense is going to be the toughest to get past. There's a psychological component there. I mean, I think anybody who's played a sport where there's a goalie.
Now, I am really interested that with a 3-goal lead, they still have her.
Well, I think it's just their MO. Now they're going to get an interesting effect here because the goalie can't touch that, but she wisely lets it go, and Detroit not in a position to pressure it. I think they keep doing it because it's just like how they suffocate a team.
Yeah.
Their best defense is keeping the ball in Detroit City's half right now. And so even if it costs them a goal against the run of play, it's like they'll take that trade-off. And it's what they're most comfortable with.
So when you do get a chance, if you're DCFC, you've got to finish at this point in the match.
Yes, you got to make them pay. You got to punish them for taking that risk. But right now I think what we're seeing is Iowa's just, oh my gosh, that was very clever.
Cheeky.
That's Sylvia Azzi Castillo, and she showed she showed a little weapon in her arsenal there that most players don't have. The little scoop chip shot, didn't quite get it on target, but man, that might have been one that I would have called the goal of the tournament, just with how thoughtful and clever it was. Great track back from Kayla Addison there.
That's exactly what you want out of your forward players is doing that, because if she lets her go, she's clearing on goal.
Oh yeah, so that's a selfless act from Kayla Addison, and one that could be instrumental, because I think if you go down 4, it's going to be a real big mountain to climb. 3, you're still within reach.
Especially with just a little over 5 minutes left.
Yeah, there's time. In the indoor game, 5.5 minutes is an eternity if you start to get into a little bit of a momentum shift here. And, I mean, unfortunately for Detroit City FC, I think this is where Iowa really excel. Their ability to just see a game off, keep the ball. They're just so technical. You see even there, number 26, Valeria Macias, that ball that hit the ceiling, just the way she brought it down, it's just like they're just so in command. Yeah, she really has. They're so in command of the ball. Technically, they're really strong, and they can use that to their advantage here. I think we're going to get a timeout for Iowa.
All right, so a little timeout. We've got just over 5 minutes to play, and you know we're kind of back to where we were in the first quarter.
I think we're going to be on camera here, Chris.
Sounds good. Amber,
keep up the great work behind the lens. What were you saying?
So I was saying that the fourth quarter it represents the first quarter in many ways because you know we see a much more open game, a much more back and forth game with the goals.
Yeah.
Whereas in quarters 2 and 3, you know, I think it was the defending that really stood out. But now in quarter 4, just like in the first quarter, it's kind of about taking your chances and finishing them.
Bookending the game a bit, and if you're Iowa, you're happy with which team those goals have been attributed to. I think Detroit City FC starting on a really, the best possible start with that goal right off the kickoff.
6 seconds in.
That made it 5-4. You kind of wondered at that point, Iowa's obviously, this isn't their first rodeo. They've got a great experienced cast of players and a very experienced coaching staff. So I think what we saw from them in their response was emblematic of good teams. They stayed calm. They stayed on their game plan, and sure enough, they've been rewarded for it. But I think if you're Detroit City FC, you harken back to that moment. You realize, we can get it done here. We can score another goal and put a little pressure on them and generate some momentum. But it's easier said than done, and they're going to need to find a way to do it fairly quickly because time is becoming a bit of an opponent as well.
One thing that I've witnessed you say to your players as a coach is kind of to take things incrementally in time. Next 10 minutes, next 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And I think right now for City, you just have to make sure this is a dangerous area for Iowa to be.
Yep.
You've got to make sure that you clear your lines here and you don't concede.
Yeah, absolutely.
You just got to take it moment by moment.
Priority one, and then I think as you work your way into it, you start to think about how are we going to score. But Iowa just kind of doing what they've been doing, and it's really, I mean, you see it. We have the best view in the house right now. You see that for Detroit City FC, if you take a risk defensively, like Aaron Torrance is doing right now, she's kind of pressuring the ball individually, but her teammates can't quite join her because Iowa will play around you, and when they have, like players like Macias and their goalkeeper, I feel like this is their biggest strength.
Yeah,
keeping the ball. I bet if you watched an average training session for them, a lot of time is spent just on possession and comfort, keeping the other team chasing, and they're just really in command of the ball right now. And it's like watching a futsal match, the way they're using the bottom of their foot to control. Great save from Becca Prisbolo. Here comes Megan Varant.
Gallegos crowd wanted Gallegos to get called for a foul there, but I think in the grand scheme of the game.
This will be interesting because I think it's just well done there by, I was going to say, Macias was in a tough spot facing her own goal there without her goalie in net.
Yeah.
Aaron Torrance is going to try and apply maximum pressure, but I also think fatigue's starting to set in a bit, and we're not seeing the freshest version of everyone.
And when I think, too, if you just think back to the shift that Aaron Torrance has had, I mean, she's pressing by herself, going back and forth between, the two players that are farthest back, and she was tuckered out.
Very good observation, Chris, because I think if you added the time on the field and the number of sprints, it's incredible enough that she ran that ball down. Here comes Megan Varant. Great save.
What a stop.
See that, but I think if you're Detroit City FC, that gives you hope. There's still 3.5 minutes.
Yep.
You keep generating these chances. Iowa definitely starting to get a little bit more defensive in their posture. Here, the game's still open, though.
There.
Great ball. Here comes Kayla Addison. She's going to have to make it count here. Good defending from Macias. She's been excellent in this fourth quarter. We've said her name a lot.
Yeah.
And for good reason. She's been a standout. Nice return pass from Kayla Addison.
And honestly, Macias has been solid on both ends of the pitch.
Yes. And the thing I'll say for Macias here, we got a foul on Gallegos.
Gallegos looks to be shaken up a little bit.
I think she took the worst of that, but committed the foul in terms of putting a leg in.
She was a little late to it. Doesn't make it hurt any less,
though.
No,
definitely not. That stings. I was going to say for Macias, just her command of the ball, the way she uses the bottom of her foot, the way she kind of manipulates space. She almost always has goalkeeper Alondra Tenajero like off to a side of her, usually to her right, and she just plays it so well where she's like, I could pass it. You have to respect that. And then when the pressuring forward starts to read pass, she just takes the space that it leaves, and she's just like, you just can't. There's like no solution for that unless you double team. And for Detroit City FC to double team that far from their own goal when the other team's under control, that's not really a risk you're going to take. So
especially
really,
when you're outnumbered because their keeper is playing as a field player.
So it's a really effective strategy that Iowa implement, and Macias is a key component of that, because if you don't have players with her command of the ball, you're going to get burned.
Right.
But the fact that she keeps it so consistently, and I think you and I have played the game enough to know, and anybody who's tuning in from at home, if you have any experience playing soccer, there's nothing more discouraging than when you go to defend someone and they beat you once, they beat you twice, they get out of trouble a third time, and you just start to think like, I can't, you don't even try as hard because you just know, you're almost like it's that self-fulfilling prophecy, like, well, she's going to get by me here, or she's going to pass it off, and it's just like you lose, it's demoralizing.
Yeah.
To have to pressure a player that is so good at breaking pressure, I think really you just prefer to sit off of her and let her have the ball. But if you're Detroit City FC right now, you got a 3-goal margin to bridge, and you can't afford to sit back.
Yeah, I mean, with just under 3 minutes left, like now's the time that you kind of have to. You got to throw everything at it.
You got to go for it. You got to go for it. And I think Detroit City FC are going to do that, and I think we got to give them a lot of credit for keeping the game this close, this long against a really, really good opponent. They've had a couple moments where you thought maybe they're going to level this thing, and it just hasn't gone their way. But they've got 2 minutes and 50 seconds to try and get something out of this match and to try and get that one goal that might lead to 2, that might lead to 3. I think as the Iowa player comes off, it would appear as though Iowa is extremely shorthanded, but I think they're going to make a couple. Although there is a player in the box.
Yeah, I think that might have been.
Is this going to be a 5? Oh, so it's a blue card offense for that tackle. So Detroit City FC getting exactly what they need right now in terms of a lifeline. They do have a power play that they'll be able to execute for at most 2 minutes. They're hoping it's less because they're hoping they'll score, and then the numerical advantage will be relinquished.
I saw the vision there.
Yeah, good look from Kira Carfanta.
Yeah. I think, Iowa's probably not quite ready to celebrate, but, if you're looking ahead to tomorrow, you really hope that Gallegos, that this isn't too serious, that she can go tomorrow.
Yeah, she's a tough player, and I think she'll be okay. But, yes, that would be a pivotal. We saw what happened when she was in the box earlier.
Yep.
Like, it changed the way they play.
All right, we're now out into the final 2 minutes.
Good block
So it's
there.
interesting to see, how well do you balance trying to find a good opportunity and trying to just find any opportunity at this
right.
point.
You don't want to be too desperate, but at this point with 2 minutes, you might have to release the shot a little earlier than you might otherwise.
And kind of sending things towards the box and hope that good things happen.
Iowa have been very effective on the penalty kill today. They send numbers forward kind of against expectation. And then all of a sudden, when you're on a power play and you're not thinking you have to defend, they make you have to defend. Good ball there from Kira Carfanta. Detroit City FC looking to establish a bit of territory here. Ooh, that's a goal.
What you gotta do.
That's a goal. That's a goal.
So you got to take it
Aaron
moment by
Torrance,
moment.
nice left-footed shot. So a minute and 18 seconds left for those of you at home unable to see the clock. We got a minute 18 left. That takes the score to 7-5. Iowa still very much in control, but that's if you're going to have a chance, if you're Detroit City FC, you needed to score then to keep this thing alive, to keep hope alive, and I think we're going to get a timeout here. Man.
I think the coach has been really smart with when they're calling timeouts today.
Yeah, trying to break any hopes for momentum for Detroit City FC. This is a very experienced coaching staff and a very experienced team that we're seeing in the Iowa Demon Hawks.
And I think, too, it appears as though that Gallegos is – she's kind of standing up over there, but doesn't look like she's coming back into this match.
Right.
And so I think part of this, too, is maybe rethinking your game plan.
Yeah. They are probably not going to be as – I think at this point they're going to bunker in, most likely. If you're Detroit City FC, I don't know exactly what the strategy is other than we got to try and create a chance as soon as we can and hope it goals. Hope it goals.
Hope it goals.
That's a new verb. Hope it goes in.
Will it goal?
Will it goal? But I think if you get one, then man, I feel like then all of a sudden you almost have a decent chance because Iowa might be on their heels. But the next phase of the game, it's Iowa's kickoff. I don't know how negative they're going to go. They're clearly comfortable getting it to their goalkeeper, and she's clearly comfortable knocking it up the field. I wonder if that'll be the sequence, but we're going to find out here.
And I think City's got to work in clogging those passing lanes and pressuring to just get that ball back and disrupt. And there they do it, and now they'll have to defend.
Yep, and this could work to City's advantage depending on how Iowa plays it. I don't know that Iowa's going to send their goalkeeper up. I think they're just going to try and get it to a player and have her stand on it.
Yep. Sit
in the corner like we're seeing here from Gonzalez because, man, she's had
a
plenty of ball. That's good news for City there. They're still
that's just a rare miss for Macias.
I know.
I
know. That's like her first non-brilliant moment in the fourth quarter.
She should not hang her head because she's been a big part of this command in the fourth quarter that they've had.
And Detroit City FC opting to keep some players forward just in case they do win it here. Iowa wisely just keeping the ball at this point. Great save from Becca Prisbolo.
And again, Gonzalez, she set herself up really nicely there.
Yeah. She's an experienced player. She could sense that the contact was coming.
Yep. And I know that she's complaining that there's not a blue card, but she manufactured that foul.
Yep. Well, the clock appears to be becoming enemy number one for Detroit City FC, and Iowa's comfort on the ball here is maybe just a little too much, although here comes City with a possible, and they just swarm the ball so effectively. Nice turn from Hannah Crum. Maybe they're going to get one last chance here. What a strike. Great block. And that'll do it. That'll do it. Iowa Demon Hawks, deserving winners of semifinal number 1. They put on an amazing performance, but let's not forget how valiant Detroit City FC have been all season long, but today in particular, no doubt a little bit of fatigue from a battle with Louisville last night, the latest game of the 4.
Yep.
I don't think they showed any signs of fatigue, but I think when you play a team like Iowa and you're constantly chasing, it's hard to make it through the game fresh. And they left it all on the field. They conducted themselves with the class and dignity that we've come to expect from them, and they lost with a great deal of class today. Nothing to hang their heads about. They've had an amazing season, conference champions, national semifinalists, and they gave a heck of a game to a very impressive Iowa Demon Hawks.
I know it's
today.
A lot easier said than done, but what do you say to the team to make sure that they're not hanging their heads? Like,
yeah,
that they're proud of this. I mean, this is not a result that they wanted, but also this is a closer result than Iowa's had to face.
And I think it's really hard for them, I'm sure, to hear this right now. But the message that I would probably send if I had their attention right now is that if you look at last year's final against the Chihuahua Savage and this year's semifinal against a very similar group, what a step you've taken forward. Yeah. I mean, last year, Detroit City FC's players would be the first to admit they were never really in that final. It was super one-sided. They were chasing the game the whole time. It got away from them. Today, on the other hand, they were really in it up until the very end. Obviously, things went a little bit wrong from the fourth quarter, but it was a one-goal game early on in the fourth quarter, and I think that's huge progress. That's to be celebrated. It's not an accident. They've made some great personnel additions, but I think as a team, they've just gotten more savvy and more experienced, and there's next year. There's next year to look forward to. They had a great opportunity here hosting the national finals, but they embraced it, and they showed so well. What an amazing win they had last night. And to try and get up again today against a great Iowa team was always going to be a tall order. I think they did it. They just came up short on the scoreboard.
Now, you're Iowa looking ahead towards tomorrow. What are you thinking?
I think they're going to be looking at, they're going to get to watch their soon-to-be opponent. They got to get the legs fresh and rest up. But, I think you got to feel good about it because that was a big test for them today they overcame. Hey, we're going to wrap up this broadcast. For those of you that want to tune in again, 7 o'clock is going to be semifinal number 2. But I'm David DeWahy. This is Chris Hemler signing off from semifinal number 1. I just want to take this opportunity to say congratulations to the amazing women of Detroit City FC on a fantastic season and an amazing national weekend here.
Absolutely. The same here. There's no reason to be upset. They've had a heck of a season and a heck of a match today.
Thank you so much for tuning in. We hope to see many of you again at 7 o'clock. And that's it from us. Good night.
Good night.